Hi guys, we're back. How are you, Harry?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, same SSDD. Yeah, same shit, different day. Yeah. Right, guys, we've got something that we want to throw at you, and we value your comments. We value your input on this one, don't we, Harry?
Yeah. Every time we kind of look at this topic, it seems like we always find more. And so if these two heads are finding more, I would imagine that the people who are watching this video, they probably know some stuff that we haven't run into. So
well, I know we've got some great thinkers out there. Mm-hmm. So let me share the screen and we'll get into this. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're talking about the number 13, and I'll get to why we're talking about the number 13 as we go on. This won't be a long presentation. So I called it 13 on the calendar. Now, everybody knows that there were 13 US colonies originally, 13 stripes. Was it stripes or stars, Harry?
It was stripes and stars initially, and then we also see the eagle, or is it a phoenix?
Yeah,
that's carrying the arrows, and then the bricks layers.
So somebody put forward the idea that it's a pterodactyl.
Oh, okay.
All right, so 13 US colonies, 13 cards in a suit, 13 people at the Last Supper. I used to have a picture explaining this, and I can't find it, but this painting actually represents the four seasons, and of course you've got the sun, S-O-N, Son of God, in the middle. You can see this guy here, Harry, with his two hands, Gemini.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cancer the crab pointing at Virgo, lack of Adam's apple. Mm-hmm. This guy in the green, I think he's Libra. Yeah, somebody explained this to me, and it was a long time ago. But that is connected, as you'll see.
There was also four groups of three people. So it's definitely
four groups of three people representing the 12 zodiacs, signs of the zodiac. In our last video, we spoke about the M, the Masonic M, yeah, and of course, cartoon characters have three fingers and a thumb, not four, all of them. And M just happens to be the 13th letter. Apparently, our soul weighs 13 ounces. If they weigh somebody just before they die and weigh them again after they've passed on, we got no way of verifying this, but I found it interesting. Japanese harp has 13 chords. We know there's 13 in a baker's dozen. This one was interesting. In previous videos, we spoke about the 7 openings in the head when we were talking about number 7: 2 ears, mm-hmm. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, and a mouth. 7. And then we went on to talk about the 12 with the female anatomy being the 2 breasts, the navel, and then the front and back, obvious. But what struck me, I didn't realize, it didn't hit me until yesterday, that the females, they have a urethra, right? As well as the vagina. So essentially, the female anatomy has got, let's call them gateways, 13 gates or whatever you want to call them. Isis in mythology, when Osiris's body was chopped up into so many pieces, she could only find 13 pieces, and the 14th is represented here. It should be obvious for anybody looking. Of course, this one, the 13th pillar, Diana. Apollo 13, according to the official narrative, it had a problem, and it was the only one that couldn't land on the moon. And interestingly, it was the seventh Apollo mission that was supposed to land on the moon. 13 witches in a coven. This is Fritz Springmeier's book, and I've got a copy of it. It's very, very interesting. But what I thought was even more interesting was the 13th, the Merovingian. And if that name strikes a bell, it's because he was in the Matrix. This was the Frenchman, the Merovingian, very, very powerful person.
And he's supposedly linked to the Virgin Mary, not Virgin, I'm sorry, to the Mary that supposedly married Jesus and went to,
that's right. Yeah.
To France.
That's right.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. The 13th tarot card. I threw this one just because it intrigued me. 31, 13 backwards.
And there's that B. Remember we talked about the B?
The B. Yeah. The 13 is a disconnected B, capital B. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be some significance there. I'm not sure what it is. According to, again, what we're told, the moon covers or moves, would probably be a better word, 13 degrees per day. And there are 13 signs of the zodiac. Ophiuchus, which is the one right in the center at the bottom, has been removed. But there are originally 13 signs of the zodiac. We all know about the lunar calendar. I mean, China operates on the lunar calendar. Now, I've thrown this in just to let you guys know that, in English, we have to learn, when we learn to count, we have to learn 20 numbers, 1 to 20. 13, as Harry pointed out, being the first teenager. Apart from the letter, or if we're going to call it a letter or a number, 0, there are only 10 words in Chinese that one needs to learn. And this is what started me on this path, Harry, because there is no word in Chinese for month. Okay, it's moon, yue. Yue means the moon, and yue also means month. So when you're talking about January, February, March in Chinese, it's yi yue, yue, san yue. So it's 1 moon, 2 moon, 3 moon. Okay, all the way through to 10 moon, sure, and then 11 is 11, 12, 13. So it's 10 plus 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, all the way through. And when you get to 20, it's 20, or I should say 20, which is 2 10s. The only time it changes is when you get to 100, which is bai, B-A-I. So you can actually count, if you learn 10 numbers in Chinese, you can actually count to 99. It's that simple. But in our calendar, now this is a huge deception. In our calendar of 12 months, we have September, October, November, December, which most people already know that September comes from septo, which means 7, octo, octopus, 8, novem, 9, and decimal is 10. So this gives rise to a lot of people thinking that 2 months have been added to the calendar. Well, it doesn't work. The seasons wouldn't work to start with, Harry, would they?
No, right? They would not. It wouldn't work that way at all.
But 13 months times 28 days is 364 days a year. So we're only 1 day out. So what they've done, in order to bring the 13-month calendar down to 12, is they've taken those 28 days, which is actually 29, and they've added them to various months. So January becomes 28 days plus 3 days. March, the same, 28 plus 3. If you go through the calendar and you take all those plus days and add them up, it comes to 29, right? So 2 months have not been added to the calendar, but they want us to think that it possibly has by naming September, October, November, December the way that they've named it.
Yeah.
Now, I found this on a website. It's very, very interesting. The 13-month, 28-day alternative has been used for more than 6,000 years. Okay. In what he calls prehistoric China, India and China, and throughout South America, it was the standard timekeeping system. He says the Essenes, Egyptians, Polynesians, Maya, Inca, Lakota, and Cherokee used the 13-month, 28-day calendar. The Celtic knowledge of the Druids is based on the tree calendar, also a 13-month, 28-day calendar. Today, many cultures are still using their traditional 13-month calendar system. Well, they're not in China, even though it's based around the lunar cycle. There's still only 12 months on the Chinese lunar calendar. He goes on to say, a calendar, any calendar, is commonly understood as a system for dividing time over extended periods. A day is the base unit of a calendar, and the solar year is the base extended period. Okay, that's kind of obvious. But according to the law of time, the current calendar is an irregular standard of measure. Its units of measure do not correspond. This calendar represents, therefore, the institutionalization of disorder. And we'll talk more about that in a sec. Now, he goes on to talk about the international fixed calendar. All indigenous people of the earth know and respect wisdom and power of the turtle. Within turtle's shell is knowledge of time and the wisdom of the 13 moons. Turtle's wisdom is the power of cosmic knowledge. I think we've all seen the image of the dome on top of a turtle, right? 13 scales make up the back of a turtle's shell. It takes 13 moons for Earth to go around the sun. Yeah, okay, whatever, just once. Among the indigenous people of North America, Earth is known as Turtle Island. To remember that Earth is Turtle Island is to remember the way of the Earth guided by the cosmic power of 13 moons. In the original time, Turtle's wisdom was known by every child of the Earth. Every child knew that 13 moons is the path to walk. It is the path of life that needs no explaining. That kind of gave me a bit of a wow moment when I read that.
Well, think about it, Nigel. If every kid in the world knew that at one point, the deception happened when they stopped teaching it and the people who knew it died off.
I totally agree. And I think we can show that here. This is a slide that I took from my presentation that I did with Jen. We know 1,000 years was added to the calendar in what would have been 592 in order to push history back into antiquity. It was actually 1,000 years and 11 days. So the day after October the 4th, 592 became October the 15th, 1592. But if you look down the bottom, you can still see here, you can see the J666. Mm-hmm. Right? So 70 odd years after this change was made, people were still using the J. We've got loads and loads of examples of J's and I's on gravestones and books and maps and so on and so forth. But the interesting thing is they were still, even though they changed it back here, it was still being used 70 odd years later. The legal code of the United States does not specify an official national calendar. Use of the Gregorian calendar in the United States stems from an act of Parliament of the United Kingdom in 1751. Well, by 1751, anybody involved in this would be dead, long dead. So they changed it in what we will call 1592, but it didn't actually come into use until 1751. By which time nobody knew that it had been changed. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So the British Calendar Act of 1751, which specified use of the Gregorian calendar in England and its colonies. And this is from the same website. This was from 2016. He said, in other countries like Saudi Arabia, we are now witnessing the perpetuation of this error in time. After the country switched to the Gregorian calendar last Sunday, October the 2nd, 2016, on the last day of the year, their year, the Islamic year of 1437. I tried to find what AH stands for, but it's like we would use BC, AD, or CE. That's relates to their calendar. As a result of this arbitrary measure, civil servants will lose 11 days' pay. They added 1,000 years and 11 days. We know that George Washington, for instance, or we're told, was born on February the 11th, and then his birthday was moved to February the 22nd. And I found this interesting. This is the emblem of Saudi Arabia, and it's a date palm, while we're talking about dates. Yeah, and this is a proposed new calendar.
Calendar fruit?
Huh?
Yeah, calendar and fruit dates, both of them.
Yeah. It's interesting that they've named the extra month Sol, which of course is an acronym of Statue of Liberty, and it relates to the sun. And you know, the obvious thing is, Harry, that you know, if you were born on January the 31st, your birthday now becomes February the 3rd. Yeah, it would just literally roll over into the next month. So yeah, there's the new proposed 13-month calendar. Now what they've done is they've added because as we said, 13 times 28 is 364. So what they appear to have done here is added the extra day in December 29. I also read somewhere else, I can't find it. I went back, but I couldn't find it. That another idea was to take the 365th day and call it null day. So it wouldn't be part of any month. But they've got 29 in June in brackets. That could be for leap year. Every leap year, instead of February having the extra day, it's assigned to June, and December just has 29 days because of the 365 days in the year, not 364. So my question is, and this is where we want you guys to come in, why take a naturally occurring event, 13 natural months in a year of 28 days, and bring them into 12? What possible reason, other than, you know, we've talked at length, Harry, you know, not just between you and I, but also in our podcast, about this whole realm being a simulation, a creation, or whatever it is. And to me, that's just more evidence. If you're going to take a naturally occurring event, which is 13 months in a year, compress it into 12, you've got to have a reason for doing it.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have enough paper, so they wanted to save paper. They compressed it.
No, I think it goes a bit deeper than that. I know you're joking, bro. I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's nefarious. I think it's they've obviously done it for a reason. But what could those reasons be? Now, you know, there's a lot of people out there that'll watch this. So guys, whatever reason you could possibly think of, doesn't matter how stupid, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments below. We've a few of us have started this little Telegram group on history. It's just called the History Group, where we're talking about how history has been manipulated, how nothing is what we're taught. So I'll put the link to that group as well in the show notes, and if anybody wants to join, just hop in. I think there's only like 8 people in there at the moment, so anybody wants to jump in. And what was that thing you said to me yesterday, Harry, about oh no, I'll tell you what it was.
The root languages, and how 13 is the first number that you have to do, like the Chinese have 10 and then add 3.
Yeah.
Remember that? We talked about that. They say that in root languages, the first 12 numbers have their own name, but it's not until the 13th number that you have to say 10 plus 3, and that's how you identify 13.
Yeah, I think it's the same in French, except it's 10 plus 6.
Yeah, and
when you get to 16, yeah.
The Latin languages are not root languages, but they end up doing that after 15. The other thing we were also talking about was we saw the picture of the apostles. You got the 12 plus 1. the Jesus figure, so that's 13. We also talked about the zodiac, sky clock, 13 symbols. We talked about the bar mitzvah. Why are you initiated in a bar mitzvah at age 13?
Yeah.
That's kind of significant. We talked about why is 13 significant in terms of age. That's probably why the bar mitzvah happens. But 13 is also an unlucky number. It's been given that based on what happened to the Knights Templar back Friday the 13th.
When I was doing some research yesterday on the number 13, every time whatever phrase I typed in, I kept getting the angel number 13 popping up, and all the good things that are associated with them, with the number 13.
I tend to think it's, again, one of those things where it's opposite. They tell
it's almost like it's been demonized, right? The number 13 has been demonized for a reason, for good reason. And the other thing is that during the early days of the Lyris, we were told that people who were in hospital, who were hospitalized, were granted $13,000. And if they went onto a ventilator, they got $39,000, which is 3 times 13. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I mean, but nothing in this world happens by coincidence. This is all done. You know, they didn't just pluck 13 out of thin air and say, we'll give you 13 grand.
Yeah, but they're associating that 13 with death, right?
Yeah.
If you die from this virus, you'll get 13,000 for the hospital. You know,
yeah. Which is again is the 13th tarot card, relates to death.
Yeah.
Mm. So it's very insidious. There's got to be a lot more to this than we found or we're coming across. So yeah, I mean, let's put it out there to you guys and see what you can think of, if anything.
Yeah, because we value that a lot, because we know that there's a lot probably smarter people out there than even us combined. So we're always looking forward to hearing what you think too.
Well, when I put that little video up about the trees and the books, I mean, the comments that we got were great. The thoughts that people were coming up with were awesome. You know, I mean, there's probably a lot more 13 examples that I could have put in that PPT. But Harry and I actually did this podcast yesterday without a PPT, and I wasn't happy with it. And so I kind of spent a couple of hours yesterday putting it together. And there's probably a lot I missed, but I think I've got out. I put enough information in there for people to realise what all these different 13s are. So if I've missed anything, then then let us know, because we really do value your feedback and your comments.
Yes.
All right. Anything you'd like to finish with, Harry?
I think we covered most of it. Again, that the fact that there's a reason why that 13 is being occulted, because of Fucus. That symbol, that sky clock symbol, sounds a lot to me like obfuscate, you know?
Yeah.
They're hiding it. They're hiding something. And again, your question and my question, both the same. Why?
Yeah. And for those who, if you haven't seen my interview or my podcast that I did with Jen over on Truth Seeker 69 a couple of weeks ago, I'll put the link to that below as well. It's a 3-hour podcast, but the main presentation starts about 10 minutes in and runs for like 40 minutes. But at the end of that presentation, we're talking about 7, 8, and 9. The relationship, because all this whole realm is based on numbers, which is something that women seem to shy away from. You know, you try and explain this to women. No offense, girls. But they kind of, no, I don't want to do this. But I was looking at the word benign, Benign. I was looking at the word benign, thinking how it sounds so much like B9. 9 is perfection, not 7. And if you want to know why, go and watch that podcast that I did with Jen. So Benign. What's the first thing that comes to your mind, Harry, when you hear that something is benign?
It's not harmful, right? It's not bad.
Well, the only time I've heard it used is when it's referring to a tumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's benign, not harmful. But if you actually look up the meaning of the word nine, it means kind. It means benevolent. It means to be nice. Be nine, N-I-N-E.
Yeah.
Be nine just simply means to be nice. So again, it's more hidden truth in words and numbers. It's like another one that I think it was James came up with, was the word benevolence or benevolence. Be no violence.
Yeah.
The opposite, the opposite is malevolence. And M-A-L-E in French and Latin, I think it's pronounced male. Male. So it means bad. It means bad. Yeah. So bad violence. And then you were talking about Bene. Bene?
Yeah, benai, which sounds a lot like benign. And it means, like in the term benai Elohim. And that would mean the son of the God.
Well, that word's spelled B-E-N-E, right? And I know again because I was one of the last guys in the UK to go to Latin lessons. I won't say I studied it because I didn't, but we were taught Latin in high school. And bene means good, right? And it's the root word of beneficial, benefit, benevolence. It's all there. And as you say, I wasn't aware that it was pronounced benign, and that, as you said, that sounds a lot like benign, and it means good.
Yeah, and even the prefix ben, like ben something is like the son of, but it also can be like like the Benjamite is like the youngest son. So
wow,
like Ben is always the youngest. So
wow. All right, well look, we've been going for about 40 minutes, so we better let these good people go. So thanks for watching, guys. Please comment below. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe, please do, and I'll put the links that I spoke about in the description, and we'll see you next week. Okay,
all right, take care,
guys.